the first aid section, that is Mr. Dare and Mr. Lola. So I'll just do a brief introduction on the remaining two members of the panel. I have Mrs. Abike Awojobi. Ms. Abike Awojobi, she is the Business Development Manager and Media Relations Manager of LACVIS. That is the Lagos Computerized Vehicle Inspection Service. She's the Business Development Manager and Media Relations Manager of LACVIS, Lagos Computerized Vehicle Inspection Service. She's a creative writer who has successfully found a balance between media and marketing. She has found a balance between media and marketing. I don't know. Okay.
Hello? Hello?
Okay. And hello, can hear you. I can hear you.
Okay, good day.
Yeah. Plus, she loves the flow of words from her pen to her mouth. Yeah, she's a goal-oriented professional with over 10 years of working experience in the premium media and marketing area. Mrs. Abike Awojobi, you're welcome. And my second panelist that I'm not, you're welcome. The second panelist would be Mrs. Bolanle Edwards. Bolanle Edwards. She's the founder, CEO, Strap and Safe Child Foundation. She's also CEO of Mary Edwards Soap Furnishing Limited. She's been the CEO for that for well over 15 years. She belongs to the Nigerian Institute of Management, the Ikeja chapter, where she held the post of Assistant Secretary and Secretary between 2017 and 2012, respectively. She's also an active member of the NECA network of entrepreneurial women under the umbrella of the Nigeria Employers Consultative Association, NECA. Mrs. Bolanle Edwards. Is Mrs. Bolanle Edwards available for us? I can see Mr. Dare and Mr. Lola, they are ready. I'm waiting for...
Good morning.
Waiting for Mrs. Oh, good morning. Good morning. Good morning. You're welcome. So all my panelists are ready and available. We hand it over to our convener, Ms. Ugochi, while she handles the panel section.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much, Mary, for doing a fantastic job. Well done. I see how you're trying to make us laugh in the process, trying to make it as interactive as possible. Thank you so much. I just want to use this time to give a big shout out to all the volunteers that are working at the back end to ensure that everything is working smoothly. Atinuke, well done. Chidema, well done. Edosa, awesome work you're doing. Adam, well done. Mary, you're doing amazing. Well done, well done, well done. Fisayo, thank you so much for what you're doing. If you received a text message from us, it's Fisayo that has been sending you those messages for the past maybe 1 month now. She's been sending at various intervals. So thank you so much for working with us to make this a success. I'd also like to thank the panelists. Thank you so much. I know that there's so many other things you can be doing at this time, but you chose to come here and share your knowledge with our people. So thank you so much for that. So I'll be starting my questions with the ladies because the men have had some time to show themselves, show their talent and skills. So I'll be starting with the women this time. And then for the men, what would happen is I'll be taking questions that the audience already asked based on your presentation. Okay, so welcome once again, our dear panelists, welcome participants. I hope you're learning so much. All right, so let's start with you, Abike. As a why are you laughing now?
Okay, because my name starts with A, Abike. A.
Oh, that's true. Like A, Edward is B, you see? So A, B, that's how okay. As a okay. Okay.
Okay.
So as a top official with LACVIS,
I'm listening.
one of the sources of school incidents and accidents is the school bus. So in your opinion, what are the common mistakes that some school owners make with regards to maintaining their school buses?
Okay, thank you very much. And thank you to the keynote speaker. Thank you to the DG of Lagos State Safety Commission. Thank you, the moderator, and thank you all the participants that have been a part of this event. A very quick one. Let me first explain what the Lagos Computerized Vehicle Inspection Service is all about. It was set up by the Lagos State government to determine the roadworthiness status of vehicles. And in the course of operations, it started 3 years ago, and we've been able to inspect all kinds of vehicles, ranging from saloon cars to trucks to tankers and to trailers. Now, specifically, when we want to zero it into school buses, what we get when we inspect school buses? Well, school buses, like other vehicles too, they share common similarities. And of course, in Nigeria, we know that not every school owners are mindful of how a school bus should look like. So what you get to see is that an average school will just convert like a Toyota Hiace, like a two-seater or a postal bus, and then they turn it into a school bus. And again, what we get to know is that the same fate that other buses do suffer is what the school buses suffer. The first one is that some school owners, at the point of purchasing these vehicles, they just go for the glam. You understand what I mean? Oh, the bodywork is okay. The exterior is shining, without actually taking it out to inspect, to know if there are any hidden defects that are not obvious to the eyes. You see, one of the things we do at LACVIS is the use of automated equipment to test for safety requirements of any vehicle. So one of the major mistakes that school owners do have is buying a vehicle without either knowing the history of the vehicle. We know that in Nigeria, the average individual or the average company will go for a second-hand vehicle. Well, we have companies and individuals that go for brand new, but when you look at the percentage of vehicle owners, we have 70% going for used vehicles and about 30% going for brand new vehicles. Now, out of the 70% that goes for used vehicles, they buy without knowing the underlying condition of the vehicle. We have so many vehicles that have been imported in the country. We have accidental vehicles. We have vehicles that are flooded vehicles, and some of those vehicles, some of them, they've been condemned to the scrap, but you find out due to the ingenuity of our brothers out there, they recycle it, they make it look good, and then they ship it to Nigeria, and they sell it to the unsuspecting members of the public. So not getting to know the history of the vehicle, not getting to know what are the underlying defects in the vehicle are one of the major errors that most owners see when you want to get a school bus.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Yes, thank you so much for sharing that. So I'm going to move to Mrs. Bola Edwards. In your work at the Strap and Save Foundation, what is the most common safety issue that you've been able to identify affecting children? Because I reckon that you've met also. Then what is that one that keeps reoccurring all the time and you wish maybe more parents knew about this and could then put things in place to prevent it from happening?
Thank you. In the last 9 years that we started this journey, we have discovered that a lot of parents, guardians, stakeholders, when it comes to children, are very nonchalant when it comes to transporting children from point A to point B. And I said that to say this because we have had the opportunity of getting statistics, of children that get accidented on our roads, either through a private car or the school bus. The school bus for me, it's a driving force as Strap and Save, because we're still trying to make sure that stakeholders need to take hold and take charge. of school buses and taking ownership of school buses, meaning that if they cannot handle it, why don't you outsource it to people who can handle this for you? And of course, safety first. We have discovered that along the line, just like Ms. Abike said, that a lot of these school buses are not really school buses because they're not the certified school buses that we should have. Quite unfortunately that in this part of the world, we don't have the yellow bus. Yellow bus may not work for us here, yes, because our roads were not designed from the scratch to have such a bus around here. Okay, fine. So what is the available option? Option B that we need to take. The options there are so enormous. But then we also discovered that there is a compromise somewhere. Compromise being that the regulations are not just being enforced. We should have enforcement. If an owner of a school decides to run a school bus, then we should put regulations in place and make sure it is properly enforced in such a way that children are properly within the limited number of children on a bus should be properly guarded, properly and safely transported from one point to another. And so the aha moment came for us some years ago when we discovered that a lot of children apparently have been dying, having, accidents on the road, children even as pedestrians trying to cross the road and being knocked down, and nothing has been done. It's been swept under the carpet, and even the schools covered that their names are not being marked. So I see that there is an anomaly in that area whereby children who have children belonging to different schools in parts of Lagos especially do not, are not properly and safely guarded when they're taking them from one point to another. So that for us is a driving force. We're not there yet. We have been behind a bill in the last 6 years trying to push a bill at the Lagos State House of Assembly. And like as we speak, it's still nowhere. Nobody's going to sponsor something they feel is not, there's nothing in for them. So it's really sad. Really sad.
Wow, thank you so much for that brilliant insight. I really appreciate that, Ma. Thank you so much. Okay, so now we're moving to Lola. Lola, one of the questions that came in during the session was, can any age perform CPR on an injured person? And this question came in from Blessing Wilfred.
Okay, can any age perform CPR?
Yes.
That's a trick question. No, not everybody can perform CPR, especially with limitation to age. You don't expect a 2-year-old or a 3-year-old or a 4-year-old or a 5-year-old to be able to get the required level of pressure to compress the chest of an adult, for instance. However, children may be able to give one another CPR. It is also essential that children are given the knowledge as early as possible. Okay, so sometimes the knowledge might not be for you, the respondent to act. You may advise whoever is able to. I've had experience of going to train children with disabilities, for instance. So a person may look at it and say, oh, but why would you train somebody without hands and legs? No, it's for them to know the right things when something happens to somebody around them, and they can tell or educate others who are able to, or who have enough strength to. So the simple answer to that is no, not everybody of every age can perform CPR for an unconscious person, but everyone who is who is sentient enough, depends on the age, should have the knowledge.
Okay, all right. So now over to you, Dari. If CPR in COVID-19 warrants covering nose and mouth, will this not cause further harm to the person, considering all blockages are to be made open? This question is coming from May Henshaw, and it's because, when you were demonstrating how to do CPR in these times, we talked about covering the person's mouth, putting a barrier. So what would you say to that?
Okay, so you cover the casualty space, that is the nose and the mouth, when you're performing CPR, because CPR is an aerosol generating procedure. What I mean is that as you're compressing, during that procedure, the casualty can give out tiny droplets of saliva into the space, and it will increase your risk of exposure to coronavirus. However, when you in that state, the casualty is not breathing, so there is no risk. So you are not obstructing, you are not suffocating the casualty, you are not obstructing breathing because the casualty is not breathing. You need to start the heart first instance before you even see if the casualty is breathing. So during your process of compressing the chest, if the casualty starts breathing, you would see it. It will be obvious, and then you can remove the blood from the casualty space and maintain your 2 meters or thereabouts and advise the casualty if need be, or continue with other necessary procedure. I hope that answers
it. Okay, I think that was clear enough. If there is more, if there's a rejoinder, we'll see it in the chat box. Okay, so let's get back to you again, Abike. So how can school bus accidents be prevented? What are your suggestions for best practices?
Okay, thank you, Ugo. For me, what I believe school owners should do is to ensure that your vehicles are in top-notch condition at any point in time. You see, going through all of the studies or all of the trainings that we've had this morning, okay, there's a patient, there's a victim, and then you're doing CPR, and then you're trying to give first aid, trying to resuscitate a victim. If, for example, that's a first aid, because eventually you have to take the person to a hospital. Either you want to use an ambulance or you want to use the school bus. So if the school bus, for example, okay, let me say you want to use an ambulance. If the average time for an ambulance to come to a scene of an incident is about 10 minutes. Now, within that 10 minutes, that is, if the vehicle is in good condition, all well and good, the ambulance will get there. But what if in the process of trying to getting the ambulance and then it's not starting, or because of the fact that even that the said ambulance is not in good condition? We've seen there are ambulances and there are ambulances. I've seen some that they are not just good at all. I've had a situation where my dad was in the hospital and we had to use an ambulance. I can only tell you that it was an apology of a vehicle that we used that day, and it's called an ambulance. So if, for example, you are using a vehicle that the shock absorber is not in good condition, you're going to do more damage to the patient than good. Because, of course, knowing fully well the kind of, maybe the roads we have, there are potholes, there are gullies, and it has to be shaking. You're just going to put the patient into another level of trauma, apart from the physical one that he or she is at that particular moment. So my own admonition for school owners is to ensure that the kind of vehicles that they want to use as a school bus is okay, is certified at every point in time to be good, to be fit for the roads. If you come to any of our center, well, as it stands right now in Lagos, it's only the VIO LACVIS centers that are approved as inspection centers that are statutorily approved to process your roadworthiness certificate. So when you bring these vehicles to the centers, it checks for safety requirements, even for items like extinguishers, your C caution, your warning triangles, they are checked. The underneath is also checked for loose bolts. What is the essence of carrying someone out of the premises and on the way maybe the bolt of the tire removes and then it causes another accident on the highway? I mean, that's just double jeopardy, if you ask me. So I would advise school owners to ensure that their school buses or whatever vehicle they've assigned for that purpose is always fit for the roads, has been checked, has been certified to be free, has been certified to be safe, safe for the roads, and with that, we can definitely reduce whatever kind of accidents that can happen on the highways. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Abike, for that information. I hope you all are taking pointers from what she has said, because I actually went to Abike's office one time to interview her for the podcast, and she took me around the way they actually inspect vehicles. There's a process to this thing. Something might look all okay on the outside, but it's not really okay, you know? So you need to, I hope you are taking notes from the things that she has mentioned. Okay, I'll be moving again to Mrs. Edwards. What is the role of parents and teachers in ensuring the safety of children?
Of parents and teachers in ensuring safety of children. Quite a few of them I'll mention now. For teachers, I have come to discover that teachers need to be trained. You can only train what you know. You can't train what you don't know. If the school is equipped and the school is on top notch and they're on top of the job, they should be able to give the teachers exactly what they need to teach and equip the children in case of danger or emergencies. I'll start with the parents. You see, like they say, that charity begins from home. A child won't learn everything from home, from the school rather. Between the hours of 8 and maybe 3 p.m., a child goes to school, learns what and what not, you know. But then, I would say that 70% of the child learnings comes from the parents. The parents, the guardian, whoever the child stays with. So there's not going to be any magic. So if it doesn't start from home, there is no magic that can take place in school. Having said that, if a child is able to inculcate the habits, culture that the parent has been able to imbibe in them, then you can now begin to look at how the child can carry on this culture to the school to affect the society at large. By the time the child gets into school, it won't be difficult anymore for the teacher or the school owner to be able to now start, you know, cascading information. A child that is well taught from home is easier taught when the child gets to school. A child will get to school and all the child is going to learn is probably the numeracy, the literacy, you know, all the subjects. But then the safety bit of it really is from home. And that's why most of the time we preach the tripod approach. The tripod approach, which means that a child must be safe at home, a child must be safe in school, a child must be safe on the road. That way it is holistic and children can begin to carry it on as a lifestyle. So on getting to school, the situation they meet in school would not be a shock culture to them. Already they have an idea of where they're coming from and what is expected of them. And of course, the school also has to put a lot of things in place. I keep saying it that in Nigeria, it's only in this part of the world, excuse me, that I see that school owners just go to a building, get a building from anywhere, pay for the building, and turns it into a school. Who does that? I mean, who does that? It's not done. A school has to be, you have to properly do your assessment of that building. Does the building have an integrity test, you know, certificate? Is the teacher, are the teachers who are in school even properly trained? And that's why you begin to see that more parents, more school owners are becoming enterprising in teaching and educating now. And if I don't want to go too much on this because I want to go into how they even begin to build the curriculum so that children can pay money to go on excursions and they're not prepared for it. Ogochi, I'll tell you for free that we followed up a case about 5 years ago about a particular school who went on an excursion to the National Theatre, and the vehicle, I don't know how to describe this. 2 children actually fell off this moving vehicle. Yes, at Igomu. It was staggering. I couldn't believe it. So we started following up the story. We went to where the children were being hospitalized somewhere in Yaba. We went there. They were very cordial about it. They didn't want to come out to tell us exactly what had happened. Then we were now told that the children had been taken to Lasso. We got to Lasso. We couldn't trail those children. Well, whatever happened to them, at the end of the day, we got to see the mother of, I think about 2 of them. One had a broken leg and the other one had a minor injury. Of course, those children couldn't go back to school. Unfortunately, the next thing we heard was, oh, Madam, the children are alive. I beg, just leave them. Oh, you know, can you cry more than the bereaved? This is a typical situation we get in our society all the time. So there's so much to be done by the parents, the school, the teachers, the drivers, the guardian, and entirely the stakeholder, and even the government as well. Thank you very much.
Wow, wow. Thank you so much for sharing that. You know, one of the things that really gets to me is when we keep having avoidable accidents. Like, it is possible that these things could have been avoided. And then they keep happening. You know, it really hurts me. And that's why I'm really big on, you know, sharing this information. Let people learn. Let everybody know what is needed, what they're supposed to do part-time. Nobody sends their child to school to die. And all this one of saying, as long as the child is alive, no. If the child is alive and has been subjected to a reduced quality of life, then that is not good enough. If we have our ways to prevent it from happening, why not? So school owners present, teachers present, head teachers. I know some of the head teachers that are currently here on this call. I hope you are taking note of these things. Thank you so much for sharing that, Ma. Okay, so I'm coming to you, Lola, right now. And there's a question here, and I'm asking you this question because I know you mentioned something about eggs. People should not rub egg on anything. So there's a question from the audience that says, can salt be applied on a fresh bone?
No.
This your no is with passion.
Yeah, like, I want the no to be capital. Can you capitalize it? N-O. No.
No.
No. None of those things. They're misconceptions, things that people have tried in the past. Okay, and some of these things encourage scarring, permanent damage of the skin. So I don't want to go into the technicality of how that happens. So no, don't apply salt. Running water, not cold water, tepid water at room temperature over the affected area for 10 minutes. Okay, and then cover with a non-sticky dressing, such as a cling film, and then refer for further medical assistance. No salt, please.
Okay, no salt. Okay, so still to you, there's a question from Florence Onifade, and she says, will responders have to wear PPE in the light of COVID? I think you already answered, but just buttress that again.
Everybody has to wear PPE. Whether you're a responder or a respondee, everybody has to wear a PPE. So, I mean, your face mask. Okay. I think what she's trying to say is maybe they need to wear hazmat suits and safety goggles and like the full thing. Yeah, well, like one of my colleagues said, that there are no emergencies in a pandemic and you should take all precautions necessary. So because first responders would respond to any kind of emergency, they expect to meet with anything, contaminated surfaces, contaminated area, and possibly infected people. Yes, in an ideal situation, it would be recommended.
Okay, so now over to you, Dari. There's a question from Lawal Mojisola. She says, when performing rescue breaths to a baby ages 1 to 5, will I seal the mouth alone, touching the nose, or without touching the nose?
Okay, you don't have to pinch the nose close because the head of the infant is quite small. So if you are performing rescue breath in your process, in the CPR process, you don't have to pinch the nose close and blow through the mouth. What you have to do is seal your mouth over the infant's nose and mouth at the same time, and then pump in gently. Okay? Okay, I'm reminded.
Okay.
So this is the infant. The nose and the mouth are quietly together. So what you have to do is pinch. You don't have to pinch the nose and blow through the mouth. It's not something you can do in practice. So what you have to do is seal your mouth over the person's mouth, the infant's mouth and the nose, and blow in gently. Like that. That's clear enough.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much for that. Abike, there's a question here for you, and there's a way the person asked it, and it's asking it like for school owners to respond. But I want you to be the one to respond so that you come from this regulatory angle that you're coming from. How often should school owners audit their vehicles, their drivers, and the whole works in that direction? How often should this audit be done?
So as per statutory regulations, depending on the kind of vehicle that you're driving, let's say you're driving a vehicle that is marked as private category, because when it comes to issuance of roadworthiness certificates, we look at two things. We look at the kind of vehicle you're driving and the category. So if the vehicle is marked as private vehicle, then you're expected to inspect it once a year. But if it is designated as a commercial vehicle, which most school buses do fall under, then it is to be twice a year. However, we do advise people that beyond the statutory requirements, which could either be annually or biannually, you could also make it a point of duty to periodically just inspect these vehicles. We all know that a vehicle is a typical machine. It can break down at any point in time. The funniest thing is that you can leave an inspection center with a passed result. You understand? Because you've met all the parameters. But on your way out of the center, your light bulb, your rear bulb could go off. And ordinarily, that is a very major defect in a vehicle during inspection. If your rear bulbs, if your light bulbs are not working at all, it's a big defect. Now, imagine you brought your vehicle for inspection at the center and there was nothing wrong with it at that time and it was a pass. And then you left the inspection center, on your way out, there was a blowout of the light. Then you would realize that you can't just limit yourself to the inspection, the statutory period when you have to inspect your vehicles. You have to take it upon yourself to say, okay, maybe every month, let me just go and audit this vehicle. We do that a lot at our centers. We do that for a lot of companies too that have a fleet of vehicles. You know, beyond the statutory period where they have to come to inspect their vehicles, they also do what we call vehicle audits. So I want to know if my brakes are in good condition. If I'm permitted to share a particular document, I'll show you. Am I permitted? What our inspection report looks like? You have past inspection. You also have field inspection. At every point in time, this inspection report will tell you the exact status of each of these security safety components that we're checking. So it's either you're checking for your brakes efficiency, we're checking for your emission, we're checking for your suspension, your alignment, underneath inspection. All these things combined together, emission, all of these inspections combined together is what gives your vehicle a clean bill of health. So if you have done it, let's say once because it's a private vehicle, or you've done it, or you are thinking of doing it 4 times in a year, I'm going to inspect my vehicle, or 6 times in a year, I'm going to inspect my vehicles. And the good news is, coming from our own angle, inspecting your vehicle is actually very, very affordable. I don't know, there's no way you can spend a whole lot of money to inspect your vehicle. And after inspecting your vehicle, you get your vehicle inspection report, which will tell you the status of your vehicle. So to answer that question, which I think I have, the vehicle owner or the school owner to go beyond the statutory requirement and see if they can increase it by about 20 or 30% more as per the regulation. Thank you. Can I share the vehicle inspection report?
Yes, please. You can share that with me. I'll put it on the Telegram channel. Please, okay. I'm appealing again. If you are not on the Telegram channel, it's in your best interest to be there. It's easier to share documents, files, and all that on the Telegram channel. So I will get the report from you, Abike, and then I'm going to share it on the Telegram channel so that our teachers, our school owners, will know the things to prepare.
Michola said the reality is that most people do not bring their vehicles for inspection. I can tell you for a fact that that is a fact. You understand? I know the airports have been trying to make insensitize people to bring their vehicles for inspection. I know the level of compliance that we've had from people, even from those who are supposed to be in the know, even from those that are also in the same industry, you know. I mean, there's just this thing about people not wanting to do what is right or what is needed, except if there is enforcement. And enforcement is what drives people to bring their vehicles for inspection. Like we always say, even when you go to advanced countries where we hail them for being compliant, they comply because there is an enforcement. And also because they also know the essence of driving roadworthy vehicles. But here in Nigeria, we find out that it's a bit of a struggle for us to be able to get people to understand the safety aspect about it. the safety aspect about it, about inspecting your vehicles. And well, I can also say for the purpose of those attending this summit, once you have your genuine roadworthiness certificates, you've already paid for the inspection. So you don't have to pay again to inspect your vehicle. You've paid for it. If you don't bring your vehicle for the inspection, what you've just done is that you just dash government your money and at the risk of your own life. You understand? So please, let's do the needful. Let's embrace it. Let's work together. Let's consolidate. Let's collaborate. Let's ensure that we get people, even school owners, to also bring their vehicles for inspection. Thank you very much.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Abike, for that. I'll just take one final question and we wrap up because I'm trying to be mindful of time. That's why I made sure we started at exactly 9 o'clock because I really want us to be done before it's 12:15 or 12:30 as the case may be. So we're wrapping up, guys. Thank you all so much for being here till this time. I saw a comment by Chinelo Konko and she says, immediately after steps down the knowledge is we want to hear. We want people to take the knowledge they have gotten here and step it down. Somebody's asking a question to the DG. The DG has moved on. He has gone to attend to other state matters, so he's not currently here. Then I saw another comment by Akere Akan, and he's saying until he personally took his vehicle for inspection, he didn't realize the importance. Do you see that? So there's someone corroborating what Abike is saying to us. So please, you need to have that plan. So our final question for our panelists, and it's going to Dare and Lola. Felix Bello says, is there something like the Good Samaritan law here in Nigeria? So over to you, Lola and Dare.
The Good Samaritan law as a law of its own does not exist in Nigeria. But there are other laws that have requirements that are similar to the Good Samaritan law. They have for instance, I think something like the Compulsory Treatment and Care for Gunshot Victims Act 2017 or thereabout, has something like that. So something like protecting the casualty, providing care, care being the priority and not witch hunting, as some people say, the caregivers. So we have other laws that are similar to the Good Samaritan law, but the Good Samaritan law, as a law as stated, does not exist in Nigeria.
Okay, so I'll take that as our last question. Although I just saw a question I'm going to address currently, I'd like to apologize to Akere. I said he, but she is a she. So my apologies, Akere, for saying that all wrong. Okay. So there's a question here about at what interval should renovation be done in a school? Now, if you do periodic inspection of your school premises, when you see things going wrong from the beginning, you've got to capture it and begin to take action towards it. What happens is there's something we call a chain of errors in safety. Before a major accident or incident would happen, there were lots of slips that were ignored along the way. So when you see something that is going wrong, nip it in the bud as much as possible. Okay, don't wait for it to have, let's use a case of a fence. Don't wait for it to have broken down completely before you do something. Once a crack starts to show up, you need to begin to think, okay, what can we do to stop this from going further? What is the way forward, and all that. So thank you all so much, amazing panelists. Abike, my friend, Mrs. Edwards, thank you so much for coming. Daria and Lola, they sent me a picture during the session before their turn, and the way they posed with their mannequin, I was like, I see my Avengers ready to train our participants at the summit. Thank you all so much for spending your time. Thank you for sharing your wealth of knowledge with us. So thank you so much. So now I'll be handing over to Mary as we begin to wind down to end the summit for 2020. Mary, over to you.